Welcome to another edition of Broadcasting on the Beach with Halftime Howie. I am Halftime Howie, and this is Broadcasting on the Beach with Halftime Howie. And this is such an exciting segment. We welcome back Long Beach actor Josh Mowery, who had the great privilege to act side by side with one of the great legends of the film industry, the legendary Al Pacino, and to interview Josh about the Paterno film and some other exciting stuff. I give you our film critic. He is Rocco Passafuime.
Thank you very much, Howie, and thank you for your time. Welcome back.
Thank you for inviting me back. I appreciate it. Love working with you guys.
Congratulations on Paterno. We are very, very excited to see it when it comes out on HBO. Talk to us a little bit about what it is about the story that is going to make people want to tune in, you feel?
Well, the great thing about this movie, I believe, is that Barry Levinson, the director, is one of the foremost directors in film history, I believe.
Yes.
And he's trying to put a softer image on Joe, being that he was 80 years old. He did an awful lot to try to bring this story to the forefront, but the athletic director and many of the high-ranking officials at Penn State wanted to keep it in-house, and that was the downfall ultimately. The one thing Joe might have been able to do is take the keys away from Jerry Sandusky, which ultimately ended up with his conviction, because kids finally did come out, and parents finally came out and made the discovery that this is not right. So, which in the beginning in 1998, apparently the child and the mother did not come forward, and we don't know what that was, the reason for that was, but Joe did go to extreme lengths. He wanted to alert the Pennsylvania police rather than just the campus police, which would have, expedited a trial for Jerry Sandusky. But the high-ranking officials at Penn State, they wanted to keep it in-house and not tarnish the image of Penn State, which is, the way things go in life, I guess.
How much do you feel, because we've seen so many scandals in recent years, like the Harvey Weinstein and all that, do you feel that, how much do you feel that whole climate has really shaped this film?
Well, the Harvey Weinstein thing has brought a whole new light on individuals and their right to speak out, and really, the thing is, all it takes is one person to come forward, and then that opens the floodgates. Nobody wants to be the first one because they're afraid that nobody else is going to come forward, and their careers are going to be tarnished. They're not going to be able to go anywhere. This is kind of a different instance, but at the same time, it's there's people's careers could be in jeopardy if they do come forward. But this is a whole new light now. This is a whole new day. People are speaking out. They're not taking it anymore. When they see injustice done, finally, after many years, things are starting to be coming around the right way, and the Weinstein thing was a huge deal, and I think it's going to carry over into every facet of life.
Talk about your role in the film and what you feel like the experience brought to the shaping of the whole film.
Well, as the coaches, we were, supporting players with Al, but at the same time, these coaches had been with Al. Many of them had been there for years. My character came aboard in the early 2000s, actually, before the first scandal hit, which was 1998, which is when the janitor caught Jerry Sandusky, ran around with one of the boys in the shower. And unfortunately, the mother, as I said, the mother and the child didn't come forward. But my character, Ron Vanderlyn, came into the coaching situation in the early 2000s. And they all knew about Jerry. They all heard about him. They would see him occasionally out on the football field at practices. They would see him hanging out with his kids. You know, he would bring his kids to the practices, and they'd run around, and they'd be sitting, you know, of course, up in the stands in the beginning while the players were coaching or while they were practicing. But then ultimately, you know, when the coaches and the players went and showered at the end of the day, at the end of the practice, Jerry would bring his boys down, and, you know, they would scurry around the field and play games and goof around and everything. And then, you know, Jerry would ultimately, you know, take a bunch of them over to the shower, you know, and one thing led to another, and, you know, the shit hit the fan. You know,
as we all know, the star of the movie is Al Pacino, and you've gotten the chance to work with him. What was your impression of working with him, with this actor, and what do you feel how do you feel he shaped the whole film?
From top to bottom, Al Pacino is, to me, there's 2 or 3 actors that have always been my favorites, him being right up there. He can play the gamut. He can play the sentimental. He's got the emotional capability of, and as our first scene that we worked on, he just came and he was, the scandal was starting to unfold, and he came forward, and the players were all in the auditorium, the coaches were all lined up on a wall, and he came out and he just wanted to tell the coaches and the players, basically, this is probably going to be one of my last seasons. You know, it's not that big of a deal. Everything's going to work out. The bottom line is, for this university, you guys have to go forward and stay focused and all that. That was the first scene that I saw, and it was a very emotional scene for the players and the coaches as well. Then 2 days later, you see him on the football field with the players, and, you know, if I had time, I could tell you this whole scene is just incredible. But the bottom line is, he would come into the golf cart as the coaches were working the players as they're going through the calisthenics, and then Al would, as Joe Paterno, would come out of the golf cart and just walk around, not say a word for about 5 minutes. And then all of a sudden, he would scream out, "We are!" Coaches and players, "Penn State, we are! Penn State, we are!" It was, the hairs on the back of my neck were flying. And I thought, from that first day of being very forthright and emotional and that, and then all of a sudden you saw the gut. You saw that. I saw a little bit of Michael Corleone. I saw that. And then he worked over a couple of football players when they were messing up on a block. And what he did was, he nailed them, and then he backed off. And he let his players surround that tackle and say, you know, smack him on the shoulder pads. It's okay, it's okay. Get him next time, get him next time. So my point is that as an actor, you want to be able to play the emotional part, and you want to be able to stick it when you have to.
Right.
And I'm telling you, I mean, he was, and then to find out at the end, although no, during the whole shoot, he was the sweetest guy to everybody on set, to all the other actors, background, extras, stand-ins, everybody. He was just the sweetest guy. We got great pictures with him, and I'll never forget it. It was the experience of my life in the business.
That's incredible. What do you think that people, you know, when they see this film, what do you think that in your opinion, what they want to remember about Joe Paterno?
I think the human side of Joe Paterno, you know, he was a god at Penn State, as, you know, I went to Ohio State, and Woody Hayes was in that same level. He did so much for the university. He raised millions of dollars for the college. He was, as we used to say with Woody Hayes, he is God at the university. He is so revered. And here was a guy who had a very good friend in Jerry Sandusky for more than 20 years. And I don't know if he ultimately wanted to not think about it or not deal with it, but when push came to shove, he did deal with it. And he did come forward, and he did want to alert everybody. You know, the campus police was all alerted. but he did want to go forward to the Pennsylvania police. But the hierarchy of Penn State said, nope, we're keeping it in-house. And so I just think that Barry Levinson, as the director, as he did with the Madoff thing, wanted to show more of a human interest story on these two characters. Because Madoff started out as a small little investment firm, and he, as he says, totally planned to become legitimate, but it just didn't happen. But with Coach Paterno, he was with Sandusky for 20 years before this whole thing started to unravel. And again, he went to the mat and he tried to do it. The only issue I thought would have been the thing to do was take his doggone keys away from him. If you're going to fire him, take the keys away from him. If you have an inkling of what's going on.
We're very excited to show off the film. We're going to have a viewing party for the film over at the Whale's Tail right here in Long Beach, and it'll be on April 11th. And we'll be very happy to have you as part of our festivities. Talk to us a little bit about why people should come down and share in this big moment for you.
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, if you're an Al Pacino fan at all, you have to see this movie. If you love football, as I do and my whole family, you have to see this movie. If you are anywhere in the East Coast and appreciate Penn State football, you have to go see this movie. But probably the biggest thing is this director, Barry Levinson, is so phenomenal with character development and bringing this story. And that's ultimately what every movie should be about, is the story.
Yes.
And the characters that are involved. Now, there was a gal who apparently broke the story, and I believe she was with Sports Illustrated, if I'm not mistaken. And she's actually the lead in the film, and she's the one that's really telling the story to the press and bringing all the facts forward that she has and everything. So her character is paramount to this film as well. And then, of course, a lot of the coaches, especially his son, Jay Paterno, played by my friend Larry Mitchell, who is absolutely a phenomenal actor. He's done a ton of stuff. You watch out for him too. He's absolutely phenomenal. But again, it's about the story and the character development, and Barry tells it like there's very few directors that tell a story like Barry Levinson.
Well, we definitely look forward to having the viewing party, which will be on April 11th over at Whale's Tail. We'll be appreciative of seeing you there. And for everybody, check out the movie. It's called Paterno on HBO. And we thank you for being with us and sharing your incredible story.
Love it. Thanks for having me again. You guys are great, and totally look forward to that. That'll be quite an event, and the movie's going to be absolutely fantastic.
Okay. Thank you.